Hello, hockey, basketball, and soccer fans. My name is David. I thought I would start this video at 6:03 on the evening of Friday, 13th of October, 2023, North American Eastern Time. Thought I would do is start, unlike what I have usually done, in terms of videos regarding developments going on in the sporting world, with those going on in Major League Soccer, and with respect to the Canadian team. So, go to the Wikipedia article about the 2023 MLS season. It'll clearly show that Toronto FC won't be going to the postseason. It had, just a very poor season. 22 points over 33 games, 4 wins, 19 losses, and 10 ties. Not very good. So 22 out of a possible 99 points. Like, I know that teams, aren't perfect. Wins count for 3 points, ties for 1, and losses, whether they occur in overtime or regulation, for none. So yeah, the Toronto FC is looks like it won't even it'll finish, may very well finish as low. It'll finish at least 20 points out of a wild card spot, which is not good. And the Vancouver Whitecaps have qualified for the first round of the MLS postseason. Has a Q beside the name. Not for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, as St. Louis City FC has already done. But hey, a playoff spot's a playoff spot. They don't have to worry about having to play an extra game just to get in. That's still to be determined. But again, so last set of games going to occur on the 21st of October. There's very handy ESPN schedule on going to MLS. Provide the link ASAP after I have uploaded this video to YouTube. And so just going to so all 3 Canadian teams with 1 game left of the regular season play. So 6 Eastern Time, we have the CF Montreal playing an away game against the Columbus Crew in the Ohio capital city. That's broadcast. I'm not sure if it's on TSN. Same simultaneous broadcast. Toronto FC playing for Pride, hosting Orlando City FC at BMO Field. And quite a bit later on, broadcast time of 9 Eastern Time on the 21st of October, we have the Whitecaps hosting LAFC over at BC Place. So the Whitecaps, let's recap, have clinched. Whitecaps have clinched. CF Montreal can clinch a wildcard spot, but won't get to go to round 1 just yet. CF Montreal will have to play one of the New York Red Bulls, Chicago Fire FC, Charlotte FC, or New York City FC, depending on which of those 4 teams ends up seeking into that second wildcard spot. Yes, CF Montreal may drop down, but basically it's a must-win. After all, CF Montreal wins, that means 44 points and absolutely none of DC United, New York Red Bulls, Chicago Fire FC, Charlotte FC, and New York City FC. Okay. Alright, I'm going to turn the volume down. Sorry for the music. Sorry for the noise. But, so that's really what it is. So, what they're going to do is it's going to go to So I'm going to recap, though, because, again, 21st of October is going to be... it's going to be a rather busy... It's going to be a rather busy night. It's going to go to... Alright. Yeah. So we have... So 15th of October, week of 15th of October. In Canada, English Canada, it's English weeks begin typically on Sunday and end on Saturday. So 21st is going to be a busy slate of games. So it's going to be the Sens hosting the Wings, Habs hosting the Caps, the Leafs in an away game against the Bolts at Amalie Arena, Canucks facing the Panthers, and you going all the way down. And in a late game involving Canadian teams, the Oilers hosting the Jets. So the Wings Sens game is the earliest of them. Broadcast time 1 that afternoon, Eastern Time. And then we have a whole bunch of games, broadcasts time starting 7. So we have the Habs and Leafs, Leafs and Canucks, all playing simultaneously. It's going to be interesting to see which team. It's going to be interesting to see if I can flip between among the games. We'll have to see what happens. But again, I don't know how much soccer I'll be watching. But again, it is yeah. But definitely, I'm looking forward to the MLS Cup playoffs. At the very least, Vancouver Whitecaps will be doing so. But how much of that game I'll get to watch? It's that time of the year when hockey is on. Canadian NHL teams are in action. And yeah, it's there's no doubt that so all I'm going to do is go with the Raptors and yeah, a not so busy slate of games. So next week on all evening ones, 15th, 17th, and 20th. Next week on Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday, going to be some Raptors basketball hosting Cairns Taipans, based in but at Scotiabank Arena, not all the way over in the northeastern Queensland in Australia, but it's not so bad. Seeing a team from overseas come play the Raptors, or at least the Raptors go play them, can only grow the game. So yeah, that's pretty. I like that. I'm looking forward to that game. And then looking at the Chicago Bulls, going to go to United Center on Tuesday Eastern Time, and then come home to face on Friday Eastern Time the Washington Wizards. So it's going to be. So yeah, it's a very light schedule. The Raptors ended up beating the Sacramento Kings last weekend on Sunday Eastern Time. 112.99, pretty good. Hopefully the Raptors can continue that and put that momentum. Preseason's the kind of time to work out kinks, and that's going to be rather important because last season the Raptors ended up so badly. Indeed, just go to that that episode mid-April. Finally, the videos. As soon as I have, as soon as possible after I've uploaded the video, episode of City TV Toronto Morning Show Breakfast TV, and claims by Sid Cicero about the embarrassment of a season the Raptors had last season, and that the win and that the loss, even if only by 4 points, to the Chicago Bulls in a play-in game had been part of, quote, a group failure. And there's no doubt that it was. I plan to say more, but why I see the loss by the Oilers on Wednesday Eastern, that in a game that ended on Thursday Eastern Time to the Canucks as well, similarly. So now to go to the NHL. It's approaching the 10-minute mark of the video. So what I thought I would do is go to the NHL schedule, and yeah, so definitely first week of the regular season, the Leafs did not have a very good end to their preseason, and it was a rough go. It was a rough go against the Habs. Shootout win, yes, but there's no doubt Leafs are going to have to work on their defense. I'll get more of that later, but first, some other games. So we're going to go to the Canucks. Surprising win over the Oilers, 8-1. Incredible, isn't it? For the Canucks perspective, feeling pretty good. It looked like, the week before things mightn't be so good. There was a real possibility the Canucks would get off to a poor start. I'd say by no means are the Canucks, cool, time to hoist the Stanley Cup. It's way too soon to say that, because we know what's happened to the Canucks in the past. They have tumbled. They have started off so slowly that last season, after 10 games, the Canucks had earned only this many points. I know that on the Gluttons for Punishment episode, released episode of the Gluttons for Punishment podcast, hosted by Mike Lepore and Anthony DeBruno, about slow starts, Leafs, that, and that somehow, Leafs didn't got off to the greatest of starts. Well, last season, Leafs ended up and earned half of the available points during the regular season portion of October, and then went on an amazing run. For the Sens had okay start, half available points by the end of October, excluding preseason games, and then went on, when it was a disaster. 9 points over 14 games, and the rest is history, pretty much. Pretty much that hurt Sens, torpedoed their their hopes of qualifying for a playoff spot, and I looked at Sens game, and 5-3 in favor of the Canes took place in Raleigh in the North Carolina interior. So yeah, I liked it that Sens scored at least 3 goals. It's always good to do that. Defense was not very good. Corpusalo, the newest goalie. I could count among the goals he allowed this many that were ugly. Ugly because he should have stopped those shots, but didn't. So it's too early to say that, Corpy's a success or Corpy's a failure. So it's a long-term contract, 5 seasons, just like with Jack Campbell, the Oilers. The Oilers Canucks game in a moment. But yeah, Sanders, pretty much says everything anyone needs to know. That the Canucks went on an amazing run. Brock Besser scored multiple goals. And, yes, the Oilers scored 1. But, from the Oilers' perspective, it was a disaster. Even the head coach, Jay Woodcroft, claimed to not have liked the result. Well, it was a disaster. I watched the game, I commented on the game via a live stream, not of the actual game, but at least of goings on within it, by Tyson Dolney, the man behind the Dolney TV YouTube channel. I commented when it was 4-0 Canucks that probably the game was going to be a write-off for the Oilers. I was right. Well, let's go to that game. Let's see if I can. There. So we're going to go right there. Okay. Oh yeah, 8-1 in favor of the other. 8-1 in favor of the Canucks. So that's going to go to the Oilers, and just going to see. Yeah. The Oilers took a whole bunch of penalties. It was, but even before the Canucks had managed to score a goal other than an even strength one, basically a special teams goal or STG, the Canucks had already been ahead 3-0. 4-0. It was at the 7:30 mark. Brock Besser on a power play from Elias Pettersson and Andrei Kuzmenko. But then I figured it was a write-off. But by the 11:08 mark of the same period, 5-1, and I figured, I think I may have even commented on that stream, that Dolney TV stream, that 5-1, I figured the Oilers were not going to come back from such a huge deficit. The Leafs managed to come back from a 5-3 deficit to win in a shootout. More on that later, but the bottom line is the Oilers ended up really crapping the bed. Goaltending was not very good. I mean, Jack Campbell, Stuart Skinner were sieves so often that, well, their team had no hope in hell. The Oilers did win 54% of all face-offs that they took, to 46% for the Canucks. Yeah, all face-offs in the world didn't work. Canucks slightly outshot the Oilers, 33-27, and the hitting margin, 22-21, a lot closer. But this game was not close. The Oilers threw defense under the bus. So, to get into various claims made, a couple of very interesting videos from TSN. One from an excerpt from an episode of Jay on SportsCenter, main co-host Jay Onwright, of an interview of TSN's scouting director Craig Button, with Button having claimed on whether goaltending for the Oilers had become a serious problem, that no doubt it had, and that if Campbell couldn't get his game together soon, there would be problems, because Stuart Skinner hadn't managed to have a good outing either, and had been a rookie, and that's the problem with the Oilers. It's just been not investing in goaltending, and I mean, yes, goaltending only means so much. I mean, if goaltending meant a lot more than it did, we'd be talking about, perhaps closer to more Stanley Cup appearances by each of the Canucks with Thatcher Demko, and Jets with Connor Hellebuck. Well, there haven't been that many, so goaltending on its own hasn't worked. Over-relying on Hellebuck and Demko has respectively only gotten the Jets and Canucks so far. I will point out that the Jets agreed to sign Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele to multi-season deals, locking them up long term. Yes, Jets may trade either of them down the line, but at least with respect to seeing them leave, other than through trade, well, no, it got that stability. And I mean, whether it was good or not, I mean, Peg City Hockey YouTube man claimed to have been shocked and to have also had mixed feelings about the trade between the trade with the Jet, or at least the locking up of Hellebuck and Scheifele to long-term deals. There was that real possibility that Hellebuck would want to be hella gone after this season was to have ended. That's not looking that way. It might have been that because Hellebuck had seen perhaps there wouldn't be a guarantee of more playoff success with another team around the NHL, that he decided, I'll take my chances with the Jets and see where they go. That there was not going to be a guarantee that Hellebuck was going to necessarily come close to winning a Stanley Cup with another NHL team. So yeah, go figure. More playoff appearances since the Leafs in 2016 had drafted Austin Matthews at first overall. More playoff appearances, no doubt about that. Canucks have only had this many, so during that time span. So it's no surprise that Elias Pettersson has claimed to have been quite uncertain about whether to keep on going. I mean, there was a very interesting episode on late last month on Overdrive. TSN, the late afternoon Eastern Time show broadcast on Toronto's TSN 1050 radio about starting around the 28-minute mark, a discussion about Hellebuck's then future with the Jets, and like the 30-minute mark about Jeff O'Neill, nicknamed O-Dog in TSN circles, having claimed that after 30 games, if the Jets weren't going to be in a playoff, weren't going to be where Hellebuck had claimed the Jets would have needed to be, that the front office of that team might as well think about trading the goaltender. Instead, I would say perhaps, maybe that I should instead apply that logic to Pettersson. Because, if the Canucks are 30 games in or so, nowhere near a playoff spot, it might be time to trade Pettersson, get some assets, and build towards a brighter future. So yeah, there's no doubt about that. So there's no doubt that the Canucks are, definitely this season is definitely an important one. The last week or so, there are a couple videos put out by the Kempner Canucks YouTube man, one about Canucks being irrelevant and all that. And yes, it's there's no doubt that there was no doubt back then. There have been lots of tickets available for the regular season opening game for the Canucks. So things had not been looking good. I don't know if that game would turn out to be a sellout, but it's interesting to think about. Not just a few tickets, not just limited tickets available, but multiple. I don't know exactly. Perhaps only the Kempner Canucks YouTuber knows or knew. But I'm not going to get into that. It's just an interesting theory. Yeah, for the Oilers, no doubt, goaltending needs to be better. Leon Draisaitl did score on the power play on one of them, assisted by Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard. But it's, but again, it's not just lack of scoring, but also defense right under the bus. I watched a lot of that game. It was a late one, and not a lot of overlapping games. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go to... Where is it here? And also watch the... watch a little bit of, every now and again, the Flames home game against the Jets. Overall, a lot of goals, 8. And, Jacob Markstrom versus Connor Hellebuck. I'm just going to see about where the Jets are here. We've already discussed the centers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Wednesday. Just going to see about the Jets and the Jets Flames game. And yeah, that was pretty, that was barn burner. Let's see. I believe the Jets had a lead at one point and then ended up blowing that lead. I'm just going to go and I watched bits and pieces of that game. So first period was dominated by the Flames, 2-1. Well, barely, but then it was 3-2. Jets tied it up, and Jets didn't have a lead, and it turns out. But there were some ties that were broken, and yeah. So yeah, it's definitely, there's no doubt that Kyle Connor from Dylan Sandberg and Neil Pionk, Alex Alifalo, Dylan Mello and Adam Rari, and Mark Scheifele from Josh Morrissey, a.k.a. Norrisy, were the goal scorers for the Jets. So yes, 3 goals, pretty good. But in terms of goals, the Jets scored all theirs at even strength. Flames had 2 special teams goals. One of them at the 12:29 mark of the first period from Andrew Mangiapane, assisted by Adam Ruzicka and Noah Hanifin. And then 13:49 mark of the second period, Rasmus Anderson from Elias Lindholm. So, the earlier of the two special teams goals the Flames scored broke open the scoring. Broke a 0-0 tie. The latter goal broke a 2-2 tie. So yeah, thinking, power play turned out for the Flames to be a power kill, for lack of a better term. Penalty kill, very effective, shorthanded goal. Obviously, for next game, the Flames are going to have to definitely improve their defense. Allowing 3 goals is not good. Although, to be fair, by then, the Flames had been leading 3-2. Had been tight, and the Flames ended up scoring a bit over 4 minutes after Scheifele had tied things up. So, certainly the Oilers, lost to the Canucks. Definitely, those two teams will be facing off each other at Rogers Place in Central Alberta Oil Country. So yeah, that'll be a rather important one. So I've covered all the games that took place on Wednesday Eastern Time, or that started on Wednesday Eastern Time, that played by Canadian teams. But now I'm going to cover the Habs-Leafs regular season opener. It was hosted at Scotiabank Arena. There are 2 other games scheduled for the 9th of March of next year, Eastern Time, and the 6th of April Eastern Time, with both games on the road at the Bell Center. But hey, the Leafs have played the Habs a lot, and in terms of that game, I mean, there was like a episode of there was one episode of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Sports series of podcasts via the Locked On NHL pod series. So that was, yes, it was a very interesting episode, like what the Leafs were going to have to do to beat the Habs. There were some predictions about high score. Leafs were going to dominate 4-2, 5-1, and I thought, well, I wasn't sure how the game was going to go. And initially, things did not look good. Yes, Ilya Samsonov. Go back to that episode that on Friday Eastern Time of the Gluttons for Punishment podcast by Anthony Bruno, one of the co-hosts of it, claimed that, use the S word to describe Samsonov's play. Simply because of the number of goals given up and the number of shots. It's legit to ask, when a goalie gives up that many goals, how many of them were ugly? They were soft, or what I like to call ugly. And I looked at the Sportsnet recap of that opening night game for the Leafs, and I thought, yeah, two of the first 3 goals, the first and third Habs goals that actually did count, were ugly. The initial attempt to by the Habs to score a third goal was waved off because of an offside. Successful challenge by Sheldon Keefe, thankfully, shifted the momentum of the game, even if only a little bit at first. But man, is Samsonov not good. I mean, yes, it's a good thing the Leafs don't have Jack Campbell under contract. I mean, if Campbell had wanted to stay with the Leafs, it would have been, for similar per season cap it. Not more than $2 million US. Campbell wanted more. He got his money over with the Oilers, and the Oilers are barely cap compliant as a result. The problem with the Leafs is that Joe Woll didn't look really good in his most recent games. It was an away game against the Wings. A couple of ugly goals he allowed. So, yeah. Martin Jones, who Leafs new GM Draft Living acquired in the offseason and was once with the Seattle Kraken, was waived. But Jones cleared waivers. Surprisingly did. Didn't think Jones necessarily would. I think I was a little bit concerned. And after all, earlier on in October, Spencer Martin, a Canucks backup goalie, did not clear waivers, being snatched by the Blue Jackets. Well, it's a surprise indeed. Thinking, why would the Blue Jackets need goaltending? Okay, it's not great, but there's not much options out there necessarily. A lot of goalies are wild cards. So, kind of strange, because I would think, oh, the Bolts needed goaltending, and they didn't have an experienced goalie. So I thought, okay, maybe the Blue Jackets wouldn't need goaltending, and the Bolts would need it so much more with Andrei Vasilevsky out due to a long injury stint, back issues, and surgery meant, well, on the shelf for a couple months. So it's like they were desperate for goalies. Like, okay, nope, didn't snatch Martin Jones. I don't know why, but thankfully the Leafs have him, and hopefully the Leafs will be able to keep him up. To keep him up at the NHL level if needed. So that's going to be rather important. If Samsonov goes down, or if either Samsonov or Wall turns out to be too often a sieve, Martin Jones may be getting some time. And it may be that Treliving chooses to waive or trade one or more of Samsonov and Wall. It's going to be interesting to say the least. But again, last summer, Samsonov took the Leafs to arbitration, and yeah, Samsonov got $3.55 million per season cap hit, but valid only until June. Thankfully, it's not $5 million as Jack Campbell would have, or a bit over $4.6 million as had been the case with Matt Murray. Well, look what happened with Matt Murray. On the shelf, hip issues, hip surgery, done for much of the rest of the regular season, if not the rest of the regular season. I see the Leafs as a playoff team, but if I were Sheldon Keefe, would I trust putting Matt Murray in net? Not for a postseason game, that's for sure. And who knows if the Leafs are going to even have the cap space to call Murray up if he is healthy. I hope that doesn't happen. But man, the Leafs need to be more defensively responsible. On the first play of the game, on the Habs' first goal, TJ Brody, trying to defend against a then upcoming odd man rush by the Habs, fell, lost his balance, and couldn't do much of anything. And so the 3-1 mark of the first period. Just under 2 minutes later, Kyle Yarncrook, trying to stop Jordan Harris from getting any closer to the Leafs net to try to score, was called for 2-minute holding penalty, and well, the Habs went on the power play, didn't score, but that was a momentum killer. I'm not sure. Yes, Yarncrook has a modified no trade clause on his contract. Who knows if another team's going to want him? But again, Yarncrook didn't do much of anything. I just look at it's hard not to notice. It's hard to notice which Leaf players end up being invisible. But do a deeper dive. Max Domi wasn't particularly good. -2, 2 shots on goal. But he wasn't penalized. Tyler Bertuzzi, yeah, okay, but he took 4 penalty minutes. Yarncrook took a couple penalty minutes. Killed a lot of momentum until the second period or so. David Kampf. Matt Knives didn't have the best night either. -1. Mitch Marner put up an assist. Matthews put up 3 goals. Fraser Minton didn't have the best of nights either. -1. Nylander put up 2 points, 1 a goal, 1 an assist. John Tavares put up 3 points, all assists. So yeah, TJ Brody didn't have the best of nights. Jake McCabe didn't have a really good night either. -2. Morgan Rielly put up a point, but man, was Samsonov not very good. And yes, Sheldon Keefe didn't pull Samsonov. I believe Keefe did have options, but the Leafs still got through with a win. But it was just Samsonov has to be better. Get more in a moment as to why against the Minnesota Wild, the Leafs are going to have to play a lot better defensively overall. So let's go through the goals. So there were a couple goals that actually did count. Jake Evans, back in the first period. Alex Newhook with Uri Slavkovsky and Kirby Dach assisting. Noah Gregor, first regular season goal with the Leafs, assisted by John Klingberg. Austin Matthews on a power play, assisted by Mitch Marner and John Tavares. Liam Nylander, power play, assisted by Klingberg and Tavares. So 2 power play goals. Power play was very good. But again, they just took their eyes off the ball with 3 straight unanswered goals. Alex Newhook, Jesse Alonin. Assists on the first of those 3 Habs goals from Mike Matheson and Nick Suzuki. Assists on the second of those goals by Arber Xhekaj, who got a 10-minute misconduct for fighting earlier in the game, and Kirby Dach. And Alonin from Raphael Harvey-Bernard. And then, it was all Leafs from there. Last 2 goals, each from Austin Matthews. First of those 2 assisted by by Tavares and Riley, and then the third assisted by Nylander. There are no goals scored, but then again, a momentum-killing penalty. Okay, so the ESPN scoring summary for that game shows instigator misconduct penalty in the first period, 10:20 mark. Ryan Reeves 5 minutes for fighting. Arber Xhekaj had an instigator, fighting, misconduct. Yes, Xhekaj did come back, but it was a misconduct, not a game misconduct. Xhekaj wasn't ejected. He was just given 10-minute misconduct, so had a lot of time to serve in the penalty box before he was allowed to hit the ice again. There were no fights after that, so typically that's... So short summary. Wrister from Marner, who ended up scoring. There was only 1 goal scored in the entire shootout, but man, did the Leafs throw defense under the bus in that game. They're gonna have to play a lot better, that's for sure. Because the Minnesota Wild are rather, like I look at the standings, the Minnesota Wild ended up shutting out their last opponent. But again, having a defensively stingy team, certainly that was discussed on the Friday Eastern Time edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast. Between the co-host Mike DiStefano and Dave Morisuti about the importance the Leafs need to place on playing a more defensively sound game. Will that happen? We'll see. But when the Leafs have struggled to score, against certain teams, defensively stingy teams, Leafs have struggled to put up the goals when it matters. Against the Panthers and Sergei Bobrovsky, in that Nylander scored this many goals in that series. Marner scored this many. Matthews and Tavares combined for this many. So why did Austin Matthews ghost the Leafs then? Not score a goal? I don't know. But it's very concerning. It's happened over and over and over again. Certainly, so before I go, thought I would do is go back to, so just to wrap things up here. So from that episode of, about the others about, from TSN Dance Hockey, yes, I'm right. Featuring Mike Johnson, featuring Gina Reda, the main host of that show, Mike Johnson, color commentator for Leaf Games broadcast on TSN, and Brian Hayes, co-host of Overdrive, the late afternoon Eastern Time show broadcast on Toronto's TSN 10:50. Just to recap, Hayes claimed of there having been important warning signs for the Oilers that the team would need to address if it was going to come anywhere close, if it was going to win a Stanley Cup this season. Well, I'd add defense. It wasn't very good against the Canucks. And yes, it's premature to say, the Canucks are a good team. And I'm definitely looking forward to watching the upcoming episode of the Locked On Canucks podcast, part of the Locked On Sports series of podcast, via the Locked On NHL pod series. Not sure what it's going to be titled, but definitely look forward to watching that if I can find it. I do plan to post the link if I can find the link. But there's no doubt whatsoever that the Leafs definitely need to up the game. They need to do, because goaltending, defense, goaltending and defense are major issues. The Oilers have over-relied on their power play, although they did score one goal. That's the only goal the Oilers scored. David, Drysdale, their power play, it was a putrid effort defensively. So when I look at the, for the Canucks, lots of pluses and all that, I don't think any player on the Canucks got a minus, got a sub-zero plus minus. I'm gonna go to where is that? Where's the summary here? Box score, okay. So look at the goal. Look at the Canucks. That's right. Not one Canucks skater got a plus minus worse than 0. Whereas the Oilers, it was all minuses. Well, the best case scenario plus minus was 0. David got a -3. Draisaitl, 0. And when it comes to points, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Evan Bouchard all got points. But among those three, only Draisaitl managed to have a plus minus of 0 or better. And that's what's important here. So for the Canucks, when it comes to face-off percentage, just to recap, the face-offs were kind of, I don't know. When it comes to team stats, let's just see about face-off percentage. Canucks, the Oilers ended up beating the Canucks, 54% to 46%. So 34 face-offs, the Oilers won. 29, the Canucks won. So the Oilers won a whole bunch of face-offs. So the Canucks skaters, when it comes to players who ended up taking at least 5 face-offs, Sam Lafferty didn't do too well, winning just 4 of 15. JT Miller, 8 of 18. Elias Pettersson, 6 of 15. Pius Suter, 10 of 13. No defenseman took a face-off. But yes, Dakota Joshua took 1 face-off, but that was it. Tony Villiers took a face-off, losing that draw. So yeah, the big guns came out, Lafferty, Miller, Pettersson, all had a success rate of, at best, 44 and 4/9%. So just about 40, just under 45% on the top. Pius Suter was successful in over 3/4 of his face-off. When it comes to the Oilers, no defenseman took a face-off, but among those players who took at least 5, Draisaitl was dominant. 17.6% of face-offs. Over 7 out of 10 he ended up winning. Tias Janmark, just 40%, 2 of 5. McDavid, 8 of 12. Ryan McLeod, 6 of 14. Nugent Hopkins, Didn't come up huge on the score sheet or much else. I'm not sure what SM means, but or box. I don't know, but he had 2 shots on goal, 1 hit, bit under 21-20 of ice time. Ended up winning 4 of 8. Derek Ryan ended up winning 2 of 6. So Draisaitl is a very good face-off guy. Connor McDavid, 8 of 12. So yeah. Are there warning signs for the others? Face-offs, I think, quite a few players need to be, 2, 3 of them. Won at least half the face-offs they end up doing so. But the Canucks have got to improve their face-off winning percentage. I mean, if they could improve it, or at least take advantage of, continue to do so. But winning fewer than half may prove not to be so good. I mean, so if the Canucks are going to win their next game, it's going to be also against the Oilers. It's going to have to be better. So now I'm going to go. Where's it go? The Leafs there. The Leafs. We're going to see for the Habs how many in terms of face-offs. Among players who took at least 5. Kirby Dach ended up winning 3 of 7. Jake Evans, 8 of 14. Sean Monahan, a former Flame, 4 of 12. And Nick Suzuki, 11 of 17. No defenseman took a face-off. No defenseman for the Leafs took a face-off either. But it was kind of a mixed bag. Among those players who ended up taking at least 5 face-offs, David Kampf won 5 of 13. Not good. Austin Matthews, 6 of 17. Fraser Minton, 3 of 5. John Tavares, 9 of 15. Let's go see what the face-off percentages were. I kind of forget what they were. So, yeah. So against defensively stingy teams, I'm going to get to that. But first, we're going to go with the face-off win percentage. Leafs did win up 26 of 54, so very close. The Leafs had way more shots than the Habs. Habs had 10 more hits than the Leafs. Habs had 25 minutes, yeah. So Leafs could use an improvement on their face-offs. At least winning more of them, at least winning half of them would be good. Let's go back and just see how many, face-off. Okay, so among players who took at least 5 face-offs, David Kampf wasn't very good. Austin Matthews, not very good. Fraser Minton was good, but if he doesn't provide much else, it may be that he goes back to the Kamloops Blazers of the Western Hockey League. And John Tavares was very good, 9 of 15. So that's what the Leafs need. Face-offs mean possession. At least they have immediate possession. And that's important if they're won cleanly, that is. So, against the defensively stingy Minnesota Wild team, the Leafs are going to have to play a lot better. Will the Leafs do that? We'll have to see. But Samsonov's going to have to up his game if he's used. Or alternatively, if Joseph Wall or Martin Jones plays. Gets to start. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but there's no doubt goaltending has to be better, defense has to be better. We'll have to see what happens. After all, I go back to that episode of February of this year of the daytime via Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Real Kipper and Bourne show that was broadcast under 24 hours after the Leafs had lost a 5-2 home game to the Bruins in what was to be the last game the Leafs were going to play before the then upcoming All-Star break. Very sweet claim, 13 and a half minutes in, by Justin Bourne, co-host of that show, of having wanted to know who, among then members of the Leafs roster, outside the Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Nylander quartet, was, quote, going to score, unquote. Well, good question. Leafs scored this many goals in that game, and And against more defensively responsible teams, the Leafs have struggled. Only the game before the Bruins won against a struggling Capitals team had the Leafs played relatively well. The Capitals have been going through a major slump, a huge step back from the season before that one. The Caps would end up not seeing playoff action, unlike the season before that. That was definitely a difference. Let's see what happens. It'll be interesting to find out what the Capitals do if they get in the postseason and all, but there's no doubt about this. The Leafs have to play better. There's no doubt. So what I'm going to do is go just to recap before I go. What games are on tap for Saturday Eastern Time? So Friday Eastern Time we have the Devils hosting the Coyotes and Caps hosting the Penguins. Well, I'm going to skip those games because I typically only watch games that feature Canadian NHL teams. Obviously, if there's not much of a choice and it's kind of the Stanley Cup playoffs, then I'll think about it. It'll depend on the round. But, alright, so what I'm just going to do is just recap what the matches are. So, Sens hosting the Penguins, 1 Eastern Time. Habs hosting the Blackhawks, 7 Eastern Time. Flames in an away game against the Penguins. The Winnipeg Jets hosting the Panthers. 4 Eastern Time. So those are 2 very early games. I believe they'll both be on TSN. That may only be available on NHL Center Ice in regions affected by whatever blackout TSN has in place. I thank Bell 5 TV for even making it possible to subscribe to NHL Center Ice. And I'm not saying I'm not saying this is an endorsement. As a paid endorsement, just more, as just simply as I like this very much, and I've chosen to use it for the reason I have, to watch as many games that involve Canadian teams as possible, if some of them would otherwise be blacked out. So just gonna need Sens and Jets respective hosts of the Flyers and Panthers. Later on in the evening, the Leafs and Habs are respective hosts to the Minnesota Wild and Chicago Blackhawks. Flames will be in an away game against the Pens. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Sens, Jets, Leafs and Habs. Leafs, Habs, Flames. So in the last game to feature Canadian teams, among those that are scheduled to start on Saturday Eastern Time, we have the Oilers hosting the Canucks. And that is, so definitely looking forward to one of those games. There's no doubt whatsoever that it's going to be interesting to find out what happens to them. But I'm going to say goodbye for now. And just going to, before I go, please make sure to click the like button if you like the video. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. Just make sure to click the subscribe button if that's what you intend to do. If you also click the notification bell, you'll get more timely notifications of videos that I put up. I try to put up videos at least every other week. On that note, I'm going to say, go Leafs go, go Toronto FC go Raptors go, and go Canada go.